Good morning to all. In today's session, we are going to start with CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2014, Part C, Series 3. Earlier, we completed Part B, entire solved question paper. That is available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science question papers of 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20 academic year, both June and December question papers are available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Right, this kind of standard previous year question paper discussion will help you for the preparation towards if you are research aspirant, that will be helpful for your to fulfill the dream. And also if you are preparing for any competitive exam and entrance examination as well, this will be fetching to you. Let us enter into our today's concept. CSIR NET JRF Chemical Science, December 2014, Part C, Series 3 consists of questions from 91 to 100. Let us start with question number 91. The spin only and spin plus orbital magnetic moment values of chromium Cl6 minus 3 are spin only value as well as spin orbit coupling magnetic moment value to be predicted for this chromium complex. Chromium being it is the system of, if you see this oxidation state of chromium, so here 6 chloroligands are there and minus 3 charges there, right? So here minus 6 charge and here minus 3, that means 3 charges compensated. Remaining leftover charge and the chromium will be plus 3. So here chromium existing in plus 3 oxidation state. Chromium is the system of D5S1, means the total 6 electrons will be there in its valency shell. From the 6 electrons, we are discarding 3. So remaining will be 3 electrons. D3 system it will be. So when you see the chromium D3 system, so being it is octahedral, T2G will be lower level and EG of Risen level will be, right? And 3 electrons will be resided in the T2G orbital and 3 unpaired electrons will be there. Now what we have to do for these 3 unpaired electrons, we have to calculate spin only and spin orbit coupling magnetic moment as well. For that purpose, first we have to go with spin only magnetic moment value calculation. Spin only is mu s is denoted as spin only. Mu s and l is taken as a spin orbit. Let us go with that. So spin only magnetic moment under root 4 into s into s plus 1 formula can be employed. S is nothing but spin of the electrons. How many electrons are there? You can find 3 electrons in this, so that 3 electron spin will be 3 into 1 by 2. It will become 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 is the spin of the electrons. So that if you substitute 3 by 2 in this formula under root 4s into s plus 1, it will become under root 15. So root 15 value will be 3.87. This is a value given by spin only magnetic moment. Let us go with spin orbit coupling. When spin orbit coupling was taken under root 4 into 4s into s plus 1 plus l plus 1 formula can be employed. S is already known to us, that is 3 by 2. Then how can we predict L value? L value is the angular momentum quantum number and it can be calculated as being d orbitals are given with the magnetic angular momentum quantum value plus 2, plus 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2. These are the values. And electrons are residing in plus 2, plus 1 and 0 levels. Now, L value will become plus 2 plus 1. S value will be half into 3, it will be 3 by 2. So, L value is calculated as a 3. If you substitute that L and S values in this equation, so under root 4s into s plus 1 plus L plus 1 can be employed. Root 27 is the calculated value. Root 27 is called 5.2. So here is the calculation: 2 into 1, 1 into 1. So 2 into 1 will be 2 plus 1 into 1 will be 1. So it will be 3. L value is calculated in this manner. So this is angular quantum number. So that here the values, magnetic moment values are 3.87 and 5.2 respectively. So let us see where these values are present. For this chromium system, 3.87 and 5.20 Bohr magnetons values provided in option number 1. For question number 91, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 92. The complexes of HMCO taken 5, neta phi C5H5 M prime CO taken thrice taken twice obeys 18 electron rule. So both the complexes are obeying 18 electron rule. Identify M and M prime and their proton NMR chemical shift values with respect to tetramethylsilane, right? So here two different complexes were given. Both are obeying 18 electron. Then which metal is satisfying that 18 electron rule? That metal and metal prime should be predicted from the given options. Along with that, proton NMR signals of those corresponding metal complexes to be predicted, right? This is the question from transition metal chemistry. Now let us predict for this 18 electron complexes of this carbonyl as well as cyclopentadienyl carbonyl complexes. Let us move on to first complex. When we substitute the first complex with manganese, so if metal is taken as manganese, now it will become manganese, which is surrounded with one hydrogen, and 5 carbonyl groups are present, and it exists in the form of octahedral geometry. Now let us calculate total valency electrons. Hydrogen, how many electrons it will be contributing? Only 1 electron. And manganese, being it is the D5 and S2 system, 7 electrons are contributed by manganese. Carbonyl group are 5 into 2. So 5 carbonyl groups are there, each one is 2 electrons. So the total 10 electrons will be from this carbonyl group. So 1 is from hydrogen, 7 from manganese, and 10 from these carbonyl functional groups. Totally it will become 18. So that for first complex, metal should be replaced with manganese. For second complex, we have to predict. Second complex, we have cyclopentadienyl. Neta 5 denotes 5 electrons contributed by cyclopentadienyl, and metal prime to be predicted. Carbonyl taken thrice, whole twice. This is the dimeric complex, right? So here from the given options, again we are picking the options from trial and error process, where manganese was taken and it was satisfying the first one. Then let us move on to the second M prime, that is chromium. So let us take this one and we will see whether it is obeying 18 electron rule or not. For that purpose, I am taking the complex as such. So being it is a dimeric complex, it will be represented in this manner. So if we substitute chromium here, it is the chromium dimer with a single bond, and one of the cyclopentadienyl is inclined top side and any other bottom side, being it is a trans, then only it will be sterically less hindered. And each chromium is attributed by the 3 carbonyl functional groups. This will be the arrangement, let us assume. Now let us move on to total valency electron count. Chromium, being it is the system of D5 and S1 configuration. D5 S1 means total 6 electrons will be contributed by chromium. How many chromiums are there? 2 chromium, 6 into 2 it will be. Then how many cyclopentadienyl anions are there? 2 are there. So 2 cyclopentadienyl, each contributing 5 electrons. 2 into 5 it will be 10. 10 plus 6 into 2, these are for chromium. And how many carbonyl groups are there? Carbonyl groups are 3 into 2. 3 into 2, 3 into 2. So that it will be taken twice, right? So in this manner, if we go for the calculation, 5 into 2, 10, 6 into 2, 12, and 3 into 2, 12, and that will be for 2 times, right? So 6 into 2, it will be 12 again. And more one metal bond is there, this also contributing 2 electrons. This is the thing that with that only this question becomes a tricky. And the chromium bond is also there, which are contributing more 2 electrons. So the total valency electron count will become 36. 36 by 2, it will be 18 electron system. So for first complex, you can substitute with manganese. For second complex, you can substitute with the chromium, so that both are obeying 18 electrons. So option number 1 will be the correct one. And the corresponding their proton NMR data will be manganese complex will appear in the range of minus 7.5. So why it will be minus 7.5 means with respect to tetramethylsilane, if values are moving down, that will be upfield. So if the values are moving up, that will be upfield, that is denoted with minus 7.5. For chromium, it will be 4,10, being it is attached with 2 kinds of cyclopentadienyl systems. Here they are giving 2 equivalent set of signals with 4 and 10 ppm value, right? So for question number 92, option number 1 will be the correct answer, right? So manganese satisfying this hydride complex and this cyclopentadienyl carbonyl complex satisfied by chromium. For that purpose, question number 92, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 93. 12 crown 4 binds with the alkali metal ion in the following order: lithium, sodium, potassium, cesium. This will be the correct order for 12 crown 4. So here crown ethers are nothing but the cyclic compounds of organic moieties which are consisting ether units. These ether units are imbibed in that system. So if they are used to bind with alkali metals, what will be the reactivity? Lithium more reactive, followed by sodium, followed by potassium, followed by cesium. This is the reason mainly because of that the region whichever available in this 12 crown region will be suitable for the fixation of this lithium rather than sodium, potassium, cesium, because as we are descending down the group, size of the metal will be gradually increases. That will not fit in that. So that here is the order which is provided. I took this information from the Britannica, and this is the 12 crown ether, and this is the 15 crown ether, this is the 18 crown ether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this kind of system will be there where lithium will fit into this 12 because the dimensional region is suitable to fit that lithium only. As we are increasing the size of crown ether, larger atoms will be accumulated. So 15 crown ether when taken, sodium will be suitable for that fixation. And as we are still increasing the dimensional region of this crown ether, 18 crown 6 where manganese will be fit, sorry, potassium will be fit into this. So in this manner, 12 crown ether, the suitable region will be lithium because of its size. So based on that, you can answer this fixation of alkali metal into the crown ethers. That is available in the option number 1. For question number 93, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 94. The correct schematic molecular energy diagram of sulfur hexafluoride molecule. Sulfur hexafluoride, when you see the sulfur hexafluoride, sulfur exists in sp3d2 hybridization and it will become octahedral complex. Then a molecular energy diagram they are asking for. In order to construct the molecular energy diagram, first of all, we have to count how many electrons are there. Sulfur being it is a member of oxygen family, NH2NP4 will be the outer electronic configuration. NH2NP4 total 6 electrons will be there. 6 electrons contributed by sulfur. Then each fluoride will give 1 electron. 1 electron from each fluorine. 6 fluorides are there, so that 6 electrons from fluorine and sulfur, total 12 electron configuration system. 12 electron contribution will be in this manner. First orbital 1a1 will be filled, being it is a bonding of lower energy. This will be filled first. Later 1t1 can be filled with the 3 set of electron, being it is a triply degenerated orbital. T denotes what? Triply degenerated. So here 3 pairs of electrons will be accumulated here and followed by next level. Here you can accommodate 2 because here this is the kind of system where 2 degenerated orbitals. Here 2 vertical lines indicate 2 orbitals are present here. So that here total 4 electrons get accumulated in this orbital. So 2 plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Total 12 electrons arranged in this manner. So in order to fill the molecular orbital diagram, compulsorily we have to follow the protocols of Kunz principle, Pauli's exclusion, and also Auber principle. Lower energy should be filled first, that is in accordance with Auber principle. Kunz rule says that if degenerated orbitals are there, one of the electron will be filled in each orbital. Later we will go for further addition. And Pauli's exclusion is nothing but each electron having their unique set of quantum numbers, right? So 3 can be satisfied, then only filling will be possible, and this will be the right arrangement. 2 in 1a1, 2 in 1t1, sorry, 6 in 1t1, and followed by here IE orbital is contributed with the 4 electrons. So that is given in the option number 1. For question number 94, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 95. Gel permeation chromatography can be used to separate which of the following? Gel permeation chromatography. What is the purpose of gel permeation chromatography? We have to predict. So lanthanides we are familiar that in the previous lecture only we discussed that lanthanides can be separated by gas chromatography. Alkaline earth metals, we need a separate method. Fatty acids and low molecular weight peptides. So these are the biomolecules. So fatty acids are nothing but long chain carbon systems, long chain carboxylic acids having saturation or unsaturation as well. And the low molecular weight peptides are nothing but proteins. Polyamide systems are said to be peptides. So C and D kind of molecules can be easily separated by using the technique called gel permeable chromatography. So here C and D are the correct answers. And let us see what is meant by gel permeable chromatography. Gel permeation chromatography used for the separation of the compounds based on gel permeation. So where size exclusivity that separate analytes based on size, typically organic solvents. So basically solvents are able to separated by this gel permeation chromatography. The technique is often used for the analysis of polymers. Polymer analysis mainly carried by this one, right? So that's the reason why we mentioned the molecular weight of the polymer. Being peptide is a polymeric substance. Even fatty acids also, you can say these are the polymeric substances. So polymers can be easily analyzed by using this gel permeation chromatography method. When characterizing polymers, important to consider dispersity as well as molecular weight. So that's the reason why the correct answer for gel permeation chromatography will be fatty acid and low molecular weight peptide. These two are available in the option number 3. For question number 95, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 96. The major product formed in the following reaction. This is a part of organic chemistry where we are taking dicarboxylic acid system. What kind of name of the compound? So here 2 carbons and 2 carbons with carboxylic acid. So it is the succinic acid. So hydroxysuccinic acid, alpha hydroxy, right? So it will be treated with dimethyl COMe taken twice. Tosyl alcohol will be added, and also borane will be added in the presence of tetrahydrofuran. So next is about hydrolysis in the presence of acidic medium. Let us see how the reaction get proceeded and what kind of compound is generated. Anyway, you are very clear that in this reaction, you are able to get the ester compound. Cyclic lactone will be generated. In all the options, we have cyclic lactone, but we have to predict what is the stereochemistry of these. For that purpose, we have to see the mechanism. First, we are taking the carbon with the dimethyl. You can say the dimethoxypropane. This is said to be what geminal dimethoxypropane. One of the methoxy group, when eliminated, you will get a double bond O positive called oxonium ion. This oxonium ion can be treated with the terminal carboxylic acid, and this group entirely removed, and being lone pair of electrons present in the oxygen will participate in the bond formation. Here is the possibility to achieve the cyclic compound in this manner. So retention of stereochemistry of hydroxy will be appeared, and lactone adjacent to this hydroxy is the correct 5-membered cyclic lactone system. So that is available in the option number 3. For question number 96, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 97. The major product formed in the following transformation. We are taking the cyclic system where 5-membered ring system with the ester linkage and amide linkage both are available, and the side chain also contains exocyclic amide ring structure and methyl phenyl groups also present within the starting material. Now it will be treated with dibutyl boron OTF bis diisopropyl ethyl amine. It is the tertiary amine. It will be the basic catalyst here. And one more reagent added will be benzaldehyde. Then what will be the final product in this reaction? For that purpose, let us see the mechanism. Starting material will be a 5-membered ring with the ester and the amide linkage as well, and it will be treated with this dibutyl borane kind of system. So in the presence of base, what it will do? It will facilitate the generation of carbon ion. Carbene intermediate will be generated, that in turn reacted with the benzaldehyde at carbonylic center, right? So when this carbene attached to the carbonylic center, subsequently it will be turned into a CH2OH functional group. Already existing methyl and phenyl are present with the wedge bonds, strong bonds. That's the reason why incoming benzaldehyde will attach to the backside. so that OH of this benzaldehyde resides at a back end position with the dotted line bond. And even this methyl group, whichever present on the carbonyl, move because of here steric hindrance with these bonds which are present in this 5-membered ring structure. So this will be the stereochemistry, which is clearly explained in the option number, where OH methyl both are in the back end and methyl phenyl both are in the front direction. So for question number 97, option number 1 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to question number 98. The product B in the following reaction sequence is, we are taking cyclopentadiene. Cyclopentadiene is treated with bromine. Yes. So cyclopentadiene is added with bromine of 1 equivalent. Here is the system non-aromatic, right? Being it is non-aromatic, more susceptible to involve in the halogenation. Always, bromination is said to be a transbromination. Transhalogenation is possible, and when you add only 1 equivalent dibromo product will be formed. When excess of bromine will be added, all the pi bonds will be attached and a tetrabromination, tetrabromo derivative will be formed. So here 1 equivalent added so that you will get a trans dibromo compound in the vicinal centers in the presence of hexane non-polar solvent at room temperature conditions. That will be the compound number A. Further, it is treated with the N-N dimethyl amine. So it is the secondary amine. Being bromo is a better leaving group, so that here bromo will be replaced with secondary amine. So trans diamino compound will be the final product. So most probably compound number 3 will be the correct answer. Let us see the series of reactions carried in this. When cyclopentadiene is added with bromine, so double bond will be added with bromine, and here we will get a trans dibromopentene. The name of the compound is trans dibromopentene will be obtained. Further, it will be treated with a dimethylamine. Upon treating with dimethylamine, 2 bromo groups now replaced with N-N dimethyl functional groups. Now it turned into a tertiary amine. This is a tertiary amine. This is also tertiary amine. And the vicinal positions got occupied by this N dimethyl amine functional groups. This will be the compound number B. And the stereochemistry will be trans, because always a bromination will be proceeded with the cyclic bromonium ion intermediate formation. One of the bromine will be added, and here you will get a 3-membered ring structure. Further, second bromine attachment takes place only from the back end. That's the reason why transbromination is obvious in case of bromination process to the olefin. And further step, secondary amine when added to this one, these bromo will be replaced with the secondary amine, so that final product will be this diamino compound in the trans manner. That is available in the option number 3. For question number 98, option number 3 will be the correct answer. Now let us move on to question number 99. Again, it is a part of organic chemistry, and the carbene intermediate reaction will be facilitated by the carbene intermediate. Let us see what is the reaction. The major product of the following reaction is, we are taking benzene condensed with the 5-membered ring structure, and the external center we have CH2C double bond, OC double bond into this is called imine, and hydrogen is there. So here methoxy group is also present in the suitable position, and it will be added with trifluoroacetic acid. Acetic acid is a mild acid, but when 3 hydrogens replaced by 3 fluorines, it will become a strong organic acid, right? So trifluoroacetic acid will be the strong organic acid. Now it will be added to this one. It will generate a carbene. In the presence of CF3COOH, N2 will be discarded, minus of N2, and this carbon will be turned into a carbene. This carbene will participate in the ring cyclization. Eventually, pi bonds will be migrated in a sequential way, and this methoxy will be turned into a ketonic functional group by methyl group elimination, so that it will be turned into a what kind of system? You can say it is the kind of 3-membered ring structure. Then what will be the stereochemistry? So already existing group is present in the back end. So there is only a provision to attach to this carbon with the back end only, because if you are tilting the bond, that will not persist. That will not persist the stable conformation, because so one end is already back side. If you are going to attach from the front side for the second end, that will not be the suitable form. so that here both the carbons attached to this cyclic system in what back end only, right? So that exact stereochemistry is available in the option number 2. In the option number 2, we have, this is a kind of system, you can say quinone like a system is there. Initially benzenoid system. Now after the reaction turned it into a quinoid type of system through the carbene intermediate formation, and we got the final product here. For question number 99, option number 2 will be the correct answer. Let us move on to last question of the series. It is a part of organic chemistry. The major product of the following reaction is, we are taking cyclohexane condensed with cyclopentane, a bicyclic ring system, and its terminal centers have one methyl substitution, and here we have one amine functional group here. So this is a kind of system. Now it will be treated with a protonated water, and also under HNO conditions in the presence of alkali, sodium hydroxide will be added to the system, right? So you can assume this is a question from photochemistry, and also you can say the question is from reagents also, right? So let us go with the detailed mechanism for the reaction. Here is the system where bicyclic ring system will be there. In the terminal center we have nitrogen. That nitrogen will be accompanied by one lone pair of electrons. These lone pair of electrons used to abstract the H plus present in the protonated water. So protonated water will lose one of the H plus towards this nitrogen, eventually turned into a quaternary type of nitrogen. Nitrogen with the 4 bonds is called quaternary, and loss of electrons denoted with positive, right? So now it will be participate in the reaction with sodium hydroxide. Second reagent will be sodium hydroxide. We have 3 different provisions for this. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These many provisions are there in order to attach the sodium hydroxide. But we have to go through the careful stabilization of carbene ion intermediate that will decide what will be the product, right? So here, when sodium hydroxide is added, you can abstract this hydrogen, this hydrogen, this hydrogen, this hydrogen, or methyl hydrogen also. Then what will be the suitable one? In accordance with our protocols, primary carbene will be more stable when compared to secondary, and when compared to tertiary. Tertiary will be least stable. On what basis you can decide its stability? Based on hyperconjugation. If electron releasing groups are there, stability of carbene will be reduced because electron-electron repulsions will be generated. So that primary carbene will be more stable compared to secondary, and the least will be imparted for tertiary. That's the reason why here, being it is a secondary, you can exclude. Being it is tertiary, may not possible, and this is a secondary, you can exclude these also. And here also tertiary, not at all possible. Only the possibility will be primary carbon. That will be the more stable carbene if you are going to pull the hydrogen from the center. That's the reason why sodium hydroxide will detach the hydrogen from this carbon atom, so that carbene will be generated at this position. The carbene generated is, here is the carbene system generated. That carbene will bind to the nitrogen positive. When it bind to nitrogen positive, subsequent removal of chloride will be possible. This chloride can be eliminated from the system. Now you are able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5-membered ring system is generated at the center. And here nitrogen with the methyl, already nitrogen with methyl is there. And this will be the system generated, which is said to be a tricyclic ring system. The tricyclic ring system is available only in the option number 1, right? So remaining here, open chain molecule may not be possible. Here it is a system with the attachment to the secondary carbon, this will not be stable. And here attachment to the secondary carbon, again, this will not be stable. Only primary carbon can be involved in the carbene ion intermediate formation. That is given in the option number 1. For question number 100, option number 1 will be the correct answer. By this entire series 3 of CSIR NET GRF Chemical Science, December 2014 was completed. Thank you very much for your consistent listening. Hope this session will be helpful for your preparation. Thank you one and all.